It is Wednesday, January 3rd, and we are live.
We are live. Good morning, Texas. Good morning, Louisiana. Good morning, world.
Good morning, Bruce.
Good morning, David. Let's see
Welcome
here.
on. This is Impact Live. Money in the
Money
morning.
in the morning.
That's right.
Yes, sir. So I am reading over here. We have let's see, one of our destinations here. This can also, let's give it a minute, right? That happened before.
Sure.
I think so. We'll give that a short minute. We are on Smart Money Culture TV network. That's smartmoneyculture.tv. Let me ask my guy here, my main man Fly, if that is working. Let's see here. Mr. Fly, are we on?
Senior Fly.
It is another active day. Oh my gosh, the markets are right and left. It's working now. Okay, good. We are live. We're live on Texas and Louisiana on TV. We're on LinkedIn. We're on CryptoCake YouTube, on X, on Networks Manager. I think we're even on CloudHub and a couple other places. Coming to you live every morning, 6 a.m., 5 a.m. in Texas and Louisiana, 6 a.m. on the East Coast, 6 to 7 a.m., 6 p.m. in Bangkok, 3 p.m. in Dubai, 11 a.m. in London, right? Down the thing. So how you doing, David?
Yeah, fantastic. I'm here in Ireland. Nice, cool, cold, rainy weather. But it doesn't stop the Irish. They're the most aggressive people and they're resilient. It's an awesome place.
It doesn't stop the Irish. Why? Because they have the luck of the Irish.
That's right.
You know, it is kind of interesting, right? That you have a group of people that actually are known to be lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was interesting. One day I was driving home. I saw about 5 different sets of rainbows. And I mean, if you don't find your pot of gold after seeing 5 sets of rainbows, then maybe you're not lucky. And I think that they find gold here.
Well, isn't that interesting? Well, you know, I'll tell you, the other place that I saw a lot of rainbows was Maui, and you know, God bless Maui, right? They went through a heck of a time this year, but Maui, one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to in my entire life. I mean, just on and on, and double rainbows every day, rainbows, 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 rainbows.
This is
Really,
God's promise.
yeah, like magical place there, Maui, and of course Hawaii in general. Very magical place, wonderful
Imagine.
place, and cool, right? And all made from the different volcanoes and stuff like that. So hot day as well. So we have a little bit of pullback on Bitcoin. As you guys might see, we have a little bit of a pullback on Bitcoin, which of course we had a pretty big rise. And again, guys, but still over 45. So remember, we went all the way down to like 15K, right? So we are now we doubled, right, at 30 and now 45. So that's 2x already, guys. 2x on your Bitcoins. 2x.
Not bad investment.
Not bad. That's what we do in crypto. And that's why, it's I saw one of those memes the other day. It was really funny. And it had the guy, and he's like, I'm just, the one with Jesus or whatever. I'm just trying to do my thing or be a good person. And then you have Bitcoin, which is like, the young good looking girl kind of in a position there. I don't know if I should say that or not. So you got to respect the pump, right? You got to respect the pump, as they say. So yes. In honor of the pump, we're going to play my favorite pump song. You got to pump it up.
There you go.
Crypto is pumping. Everything's flying. We have money again. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh. This is how it was. 2021, the end of 2021, 2022 is rough, guys. Bear market, I think I have plenty stock gonna be fine. I tell my wife, don't worry. Then it's just not fine. It keeps crashing. You ponder life. What are you doing here? Distance. You just sell it all. Hold it.
Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. Pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up.
Higher. It's probably not ridiculous. If it's not $70 back in the day, it's ridiculous. On for your life. That's what auto means.
Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know, pump it up. You got to pump it up.
Every morning, every day, Monday through Friday, that is. I told him we're taking the weekends off, which I think was a pretty smart idea, actually.
Rather necessary.
I mean, kinda. Bruce, you gotta do it every day. Okay, that's fine, but let me have Saturday and Sunday off, right?
Yeah.
Let me do soccer games and stuff like that.
Right. You have the kids, man.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, I had my Annie rehearsal. We had our Annie rehearsal last night. So I got roped in. I wouldn't say roped in. I actually always wanted to do a show or something like that with my girls. I have two daughters. One is 13 and the other one turns 9 in a few days. And so I thought it would be really nice. And of course, the last few years, we've been traveling all over the place. David and I have gone to the corners of the earth, through Asia, the Middle East, through Europe. David hasn't even come home. He's an expat. He's out there living amongst whoever. Was in Dubai for a while. He was in Kiev for a while. Obviously, just came in from Portugal. But, you know, I've been gone for quite a bit, here and there. And I thought, well, gosh, it would be so cool if I could do a play with the girls. And so the Annie came up and at the local theater here. And I went and I tried out with the girls. And wouldn't you know it, we're in the play. And so here we are, and we got rehearsals. I got to break out my dancing shoes and my singing voice, which I haven't sang. I talk a lot. Obviously, I like talking, but I haven't really been singing so much. Break out the dancing shoes. I'm singing. I'm dancing. We're Annieing it up. And we had a rehearsal last night until it was after 10, I think. And then, of course, you get home from these things, and what are you? You're tired. You're like wound up, right? So I have to wake up at 5, but anyway, that's how it goes. But pretty fun stuff, guys. And make sure if you are watching on X to give us a follow. My networks. I'm Networks Manager. David is Sir David Porter, and Matt, who we're going to bring on in a minute, is MD Trade. But I want to talk about a couple of things right before we do that. As we always do in the world, we have, of course, the Yemeni last night, 2 ships ballistic. The Yemeni Houthis last night fired 2 anti-ship ballistic missiles into the southern Red Sea. No damage was recorded. You know, when these guys, it's kind of interesting because our military capabilities are so high that when we're fighting a lot of these people, I mean, it's almost like, you know, you see the missiles, their missiles, and they go off, and it's like, you know, it's really not that big. And then you see our bombs that go off. It's like everything is rubble. And I don't mean to laugh because it's not funny at all. I hate the loss of life and war in general. All wars are bankers' wars, and that's why we hate it. And David, Dad told us that a long time ago.
Yes, this is very true.
He said, I figured, he was in Vietnam, and he said, figured out that we weren't trying to win the war, we were just having a war.
Yeah, that is.
We're just having a war. The bad guys are right there. We can go blow them up. There's the supply line. They're bringing it in on this railroad. That was part of the long range reconnaissance patrol teams, the LRPs, out there snooping and pooping.
Yeah. Dad was a little disappointed that I didn't go into the military, and I told him I think the reason I really didn't go, I grew up thinking I would go, is that you taught me too much.
It's true.
Yeah.
When it was my time to go, we were shooting up Noriega and everything, and what was that, right? I mean, even for the common viewer, that was there was what were we doing over there? I said, anyway, I'm going to get in to fight these stuff. I don't know, Dad. Dad says, nah, yeah, I hear you. Grandpa said the same thing. So hundreds of years of history, of military history. Of course, our family stopped at us. Dad told us too much.
Too much, man. We're still a part of the American history.
We are. There's no doubt about that. We're part of the American history. And, the American history is still being written right now.
Yep.
We have now, with the information that is being shared and available to people, we know a lot more than we used to. We know the central bank is running stuff. That's another thing. People think that fiat currency started in the 1900s. They lied to us our whole lives. Abraham Lincoln started fiat currency. It was in the constitutional mandate in the U.S. Constitution that you had to use gold or silver in order to trade, as currency, until 1864.
Another thing you see is with the old, you could find a 1,000-year-old, 2,000-year-old coin that's holding value, and of course it's worth more with its history. But why is it worth anything? It's because of what it's made out of.
Well, there you go, guys. I mean, that's paper money, and then they just print more of it, right? And it was never really backed by anything. So from 1900, and it's so funny because everyone says, "Oh, no, it's not right. You're not right, Bruce." I mean, no, I'm right.
Yeah.
You on TV every day and talk about it. What do you think? I'm not right? Let's talk. I
relate that to cryptocurrencies as well. You have your coins that you can just mint and do your thing, or you can have these properly coded, encrypted, and mined coins. And yes. I think that will prove valuable in the future.
Well, that's a really good point. So we are going to talk about some other coins, and then let's loop back on this because I don't want to wait too long to bring Matt on. I know one of the coins we're going to talk about today is Solana. Speaking of stuff like that, but you're right. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Global Boost, a lot of these other, especially the OG cryptocurrencies that the code can't be changed. That is going to continue on. You're probably right. That's going to be worth a lot back in the day. But man, we sure have some nice pumps going on in between. Sir Matt Dixon, how are you?
I'm good. Great to be with you again today. Good morning, everybody. And a second Happy New Year. Or is it a third one? We're on the third today, aren't we?
I don't know. It's all a Happy New Year, right?
I don't even know if we're going to get time to talk about Solana. There's so much going on, isn't there?
There's so much going on, and absolutely, we can talk about Solana another day. It didn't pump really huge today. I'll tell you what did pump is ICP.
Absolutely amazing. I'm just so glad I came out and spoke about that one well in advance. It's just amazingly. But before we jump into cryptos, I mean, I like to do things as they happen.
Yes.
And you mentioned about about money. 2000. David was talking about 2,000-year-old coins and so on. And I just looked up the characteristics of money. The first one, I mean, we can go through them and see how they apply to crypto. So the first one is durability. So I guess that's, is it durable? Is it lasting? I think crypto is clearly durable because it doesn't wear out. It's not like coins or notes or whatever. Even notes, they're durable. They're built to be durable, but crypto is durable. Is it portable? Well, yes, of course, crypto is portable. Certainly in today's modern world, you know, you've got your mobile phone. It's your wallet, effectively. You know, you can access that wallet anywhere on any device. You know, so it's certainly portable. Is it divisible? Well, yes, Bitcoin goes to multiple decimal places, so you don't have to own a whole Bitcoin at $45,000. You know, transactions can be broken down into tiny fractions because it really is divisible into 0.0000 of a Bitcoin and so on.
Wow.
And is it uniform? Well, we've got the blockchain. Yes, it's more uniform than, you know, it is absolutely totally uniform. And probably one of the most important things about why people say, oh, gold has limited supply, that's why gold and precious metals have the value that they do because of their limited supply. Well, in fact, you know, there is potentially infinite supply of gold, especially with advances in technology. You know, we can be mining more and more gold, and we are mining more and more gold. Potentially, there'll even be, you know, is a sort of even beyond the Earth. You know, it can be mining asteroids, etc. There's potential for mining more and more gold, but it is certainly limited supply. But crypto is more than ever, more than anything, limited supply. 21 million Bitcoin, as we said the other day, 84 million Litecoin, and so on and so on. They have limited supply as against these fiat. You know, how can fiat qualify as money when it's got real infinite supply? If they start running a bit short, they print some more. You know, go to the printing press and just print more. So the money that we currently have doesn't qualify under the actual rules of money, you know, because it doesn't have limited supply. And is it acceptable? Well, yes, at the moment it's acceptable. Crypto isn't, you know, certainly isn't universally acceptable at the moment, but it's getting more and more that way. Adoption rates are rocketing. Even during the bear market, adoption rates were climbing. So crypto is building acceptability, and, you know, everything has to start somewhere. But at some point, the balance could tip, whereas crypto becomes recognized, you know, because of that thing about the quantity and, you know, limited supply. It could become more widely recognized. And I know, you know, from my experience, more people are accepting crypto and Bitcoin. You know, nowadays you can buy a house. There are certain dealerships you can go and buy a car. More and more people are taking, you know, crypto for payment for various things. And as we're getting this ETF regulation just on the precipice now of gaining real recognition, real institutional adoption. So as I said before, we've got that retail adoption from Bitcoin 0 to 69,000, and we've had the bear market pullback. Now just imagine if we do get that institutional adoption, but beware, that's days away. And you have that old adage we've said, buy the rumor, sell the news. So there could be a short-term negative reaction, but I think long-term, you know, things are looking good. And I've looked around the charts, and I might as well just post a couple of little charts. Share my screen as usual. Let's hope I can. Yeah, we're getting
guys,
there.
your money your dollars don't even count as money. Your euros, they don't even count as money, guys.
And Bitcoin hits all the points.
Yeah. Can you see my screen there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Look
So
at
there's
this.
Bitcoin.
You're so happy if you bought or if you sold. Imagine if you sold your, you know, $500,000 or $1 million house for Bitcoin at 20K. Right now, you're just so happy. You're so happy.
It's been the best performing asset class over the years. Yes, if you just jump in and pick a wrong time, but even then, most people who are holding cryptocurrency are in profit. Yes, there's a few who bought in at the all-time high, but with this institutional adoption around the corner, potentially everybody will be in profit fairly soon if we get that pump. Maybe not immediately, but, you know, we don't know absolute timings. You know, we can't tell people the absolute timing of a pump, but crypto, as we just said, has all of the fundamentals of real viable money. So I think the future is bright. So here's Bitcoin just at the moment, looking as though we've still got higher to pump, but we broke through. I'll probably expand it a little bit. we can see potentially ABC higher or 1, 2, 3. But either way, whichever way you look, it looks as though it's still got higher to go. The next resistance looks to be around that 50,000 mark. And yeah, that would be really, really very, very interesting. You know, that's still a big percentage. It's still another 10% potential pump, and that can happen almost overnight, as we know with Bitcoin. So just from a technical perspective, we could see the two previous highs. I don't know whether you can see there. I'll try to enlarge it a bit more, or maybe I'll even go to a shorter term chart just to show you. It's probably better. Yeah. Yeah. So on that shorter term chart, you can see here, I've just drawn an overhead resistance line here, touching the top here of the price, the top here, and then potentially you can see we blasted through there. Now, very typically what happens is you normally, once you blast through an overhead resistance like this, you actually then come down to retest it before you then move off again towards the upside. And that appears to be what's happening. So yeah, short term, maybe a little bit of a pullback that you mentioned. And that actually coincides with dollar index, we'll see in a moment. But following a retest, you normally get a further pump to the upside. And as I say, next target 50,000. So from 44 to 50, you're talking potentially a 12% pump. Could be very, very quick. These things where in the fiat world, you could be talking, you know, years to get these sort of gains. You can get them in days with cryptocurrency. Not to say it's not without risk. So don't throw everything in there, but certainly not something that should be avoided. I wanted to look at dollar index. Let's just have a quick look at dollar index, shall we? Dollar index has taken from the low point. This was actually expected. I posted on my Twitter at MD Trade, and I've been saying that this was actually a very important technical level here, which was a perfect Fibonacci extension. And we're always talking about Fibonacci, which is, you know, talks about the golden ratio, which applies to so many things in finance, in life, in everything. It's amazing. But here we had a very, very important Fibonacci extension that the price turned on a button at that Fibonacci extension. Then we moved up in impulsive fashion. Wave 1, wave 2, wave 3. Wave 3 was exactly 1.618. Again, that golden ratio. Wave 4, and we're pushing up in wave 5. So typically, as dollar strengthens, we tend to get an inverse reaction on risk assets like Bitcoin. So that's why we've seen a little bit of a pullback on Bitcoin, maybe just a little bit further to go before we then get some further pullback on dollar index, which could be that further pump that we're looking at with cryptocurrency. So it's all lining up. I mean, we just looked at Bitcoin. We can just flip through them very quickly. Here's Bruce's favorite, Litecoin. We'll go back onto the long-term chart. You know, we've stayed within this long-term upward channel. Bruce's favorite. He must have millions in here. So we're within.
I still have some old ones from Charlie himself.
So I mean, here's Bruce's token here. Just you can see it's still in this upward channel. Yes, it may retest the bottom of the channel, but that would be a perfect potential entry point. You know, we're not advising people, but potential entry point with really good risk reward. You can put your stop loss just below. Small downside, massive potential upside. So, you know, Litecoin is still looking really attractive from risk reward. XRP, again, one of the favorites we've talked about, could be the future of international money transfer. You know, again, working apparently within a triangle, but certainly some kind of correction. Following the end of the correction, we could see a real pump to the upside. And again, that could align with this institutional adoption. Again, another massive one where we've seen 10x in recent weeks. Solana just looks like we're having that little from the top here. You know, I've had this amazing 10x pump and then an A, B, and possibly a push down in C to downside before more upside. And again, if we looked on a longer term chart, there's a target just above. And I think I'll just flip out on this one. What is it? Flip out, zone out a little bit just to show you why that target is so important. This is typical resistance from a charting perspective. A previous pivot high aligning perfectly with a Fibonacci extension 1.618 times a previous wave. They both align perfectly on the dot at 143-ish, 142, 143 on Solana. So again, following a bit of a short-term pullback, we could see another pump to test that level, that previous pivot high. So again, we're looking potentially more upside to come. The only fly in the ointment I see is potentially SPX, the S&P 500. Again, it's just a very important technical level we touched here. From a previous high we saw in SPX, we didn't quite exceed that previous high. And if we had, it would have invalidated our Elliott wave count, but it didn't. It actually is stuck right within it, and we got a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, within Elliott wave rules, wave 3, this one here, from wave 2 to 3 here, cannot be the shortest wave within the cycle. And so wave 1 was longer than wave 3, so wave 5 could not be longer than wave 3 to abide by the rules. And it wasn't. By just a few dollars, it stayed within that and then turned on the button, started to turn down. So it looks as though potentially we're going to see a bit more pullback on S&P 500, at least a bit more. We don't know how much, but that turning point was really, really key on the button, abiding by all the Elliott wave rules. So absolutely fantastic stuff. So in general, I think we're looking at some bright outlooks for a lot of cryptos and risk assets, and it's just all lining up together. It's beautiful, Bruce.
It's like, that's how it is, right? People always say, well, what do I buy? What do I buy? In a bull market, you just buy. Okay. In a bull market, you just buy. That's really the number one kind of thing that you do. Obviously, you want to listen to watch shows like this. We really appreciate everybody tuning in. We're building quite an audience too. I got some feedback from our friends in Texas, and we're getting a lot of good responses there, as well as obviously live. We can talk to people right on here, and we see our friends every day. But stuff like this helps, but you really got to buy. The upside for crypto just looks to be absolutely fantastic over the next year. Anything can happen, but
I mean, listen out to all the news that's going on. Again, this is why these sort of shows are so important, because Bruce does a summary, and David as well. We both do a summary of what's going on in the world, what's going on in the markets. And these things do impact the prices. They're an immediate impact on prices. So, we can do all the charts in the world, but still the markets are driven by what's actually happening in the world. So this is why this is so important. It's good to have the balance. I look a lot at the technicals, but I always keep an eye on the fundamentals. Bruce and David are bringing out all the fundamental news that's coming out day by day. So you factor all that in, and it's really good. And thank you to David, to Bruce, to everybody, to all your community, because I've had some amazing people following from this show. Some big followers are following me now on X, and it's great. I've seen my numbers pump, and we love that pump, don't we? So,
we love the pump, and we're just getting started. It's funny because when we started the show, first of all, things happen, right? The way that life works. Obviously, as we've been working at this for a long time, right? And of course, things line up, and then you get the calls, and of course, the first person I reach out to is Matt, and then here we are every morning. We really appreciate working with you, Matt. It's an absolute pleasure, and I think that you have David is in his 30s. I'm in my 40s, and you're ahead of us as well. And
I'm in my 20s.
And it gives a nice view of things, and you're charting and what you're doing, and the amount of factual stuff that you bring is absolutely amazing, and it's really helpful for people. So I think we're going to continue to grow. What is this, like our 13th show, something like that? We even did Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah. And by the way, just to mention your ICP, it's already up 8.5% today alone. I mean, you don't see that anywhere else. You could be talking years worth of growth in fiat, but we identified ICP. It's up, I don't know what it's up now. It's probably up 5 times since we were talking about it when it was on the low. And I was saying, this is a really interesting one. And I've spoken to people within the team, within the development team there, the science team, their science officer and so on. I've spoken with these people, and it's good to get a little bit of on the ground research just to know what's behind. And as you know, when we do research these things, it's not just about the technicals, it's actually the fundamentals and the people behind it. And again, that's what's so good about this show. You guys have got such a wealth of experience in the world of media and news, and that's why it's such a pleasure to partner with you. So thank you.
All right, well that is totally cool. And yeah, just to go on ICP a little bit more, because it is really, it's a meteoric rise. And to be totally clear with everybody, I completely, I mean, this thing went up to $400, $700. I think that with what they're doing, I see no reason really. I mean, there's lots of reasons why they couldn't retrace, but that's where they're going. That's where they're pushing for. And they're putting the money where their mouth is. They have an amazing grant program that they use for different influencers to work on it, and different developers and everything like that. I mean, they are really pushing it out, and they are building, and that's what it's all about, guys. You know, in order for a currency or a blockchain to grow, you need users. You need people that are using it, and that's what they're building. And so that's why I'm a big supporter. And then as well, over the years, it's been years that Matt and I have been talking about ICP. You know, gosh, we both made money on it, I'm sure, as well. But you know, the basis that they have, the building blocks that they have are really impressive as well. Like you always talk.
Yeah, the fundamentals are fantastic. And another thing you need to look at, you know, there's a lot of, you know, you need to look at the fundamentals, what's behind it. They're very well funded scientifically and academically. They're fantastic. Again, just do your due diligence, do your research. Just look at what's behind it. So yeah, there's potential there, but also when you're doing your research, you'd find that massive high you talked about, and this is, you know, everything isn't always what it appears. So they had this massive high of 400, whatever it was, $400, you know, whatever the high was.
Right.
It was actually not necessarily a legitimate high, because it was pumped by perpetual futures on FTX before it even became live as a token. So this was not necessarily genuine. And so, you know, when you're looking at valuations, you know, it's good to just see what drove prices. Is that price valid? And if not, what is a valid price? But look now at what's the fundamentals. Don't be swayed by and think, oh, it's definitely going to reach the previous all-time high. It doesn't need to reach that all-time high. It certainly could do. Nobody imagined or even dreamt that Bitcoin was going to reach 45 or, well, 69,000 or even 45,000 or even 1,000, because I was actually exposed to it, you know, before it was, you know, like you, when it was right down, first became an asset. I didn't believe in it in the first days, but some people did, and they got in when it cost next to nothing.
Yeah.
Not believing, you know, I would have, if I got in at that level, I'd have sold it at $1. I'd have then sold it at $10, $100, $1,000. I wouldn't be holding it, but some people just held it all the way through, and those some people are in a very different position now. So it just gives you that lesson that crypto, I think, definitely has a future, because blockchain technology is not just a crypto business. It's actually a fundamental business which can increase productivity within all sorts of businesses. You know, even NFTs, etc. We can use them for fractional property transactions and so many different things within business. You know, blockchain and even just simple money transfers. Everything it has. It's a new technology that we need to embrace, because the opportunity is amazing.
It's something new. It's something new to the world. And that's like when I started explaining, because people, you know, they don't understand, you know, what is it and this and that and the other. And it's something new. We never had it before. We never had anything like this. If you want to travel with $100,000 worth of gold, it's heavy. You want to travel with $100,000 worth of silver, it's like near. I mean, you can't. You gotta check it if you're. You know what I mean? If you want to travel with $100,000 of cash, it's big. You want to travel with $100,000 in Bitcoin? Well, wait a minute. You don't even have to travel with it. It just exists. And that's like, you know, guys, look, this is one of the reasons why we talked about earlier in the show, why, David was talking about why some of the old coins are still worth something, because they're actually made of something. We have something here that's new to the world. You don't even have to travel with it. You can just remember your seed phrase, and you can go and pick up your coins anywhere. You can hop on the internet and log in, and then you have access to your money. You are your own bank, and the central banks are who all of our countries basically work for, and that's starting to become more and more obvious as well. The central banks, they basically bypassed all of our countries way back when, and not even way back so much for us here in the U.S., but most of the world way back, and they print the money and they decide the inflation. And meanwhile, you borrow the money in order to use it. And with every dollar or every euro or every pound that you borrow comes a bit of debt. So our countries will never get down the national debt. It's impossible on this system. And it's something that people are starting, even if they don't totally understand it, they understand something's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's some kind of conspiracy, it seems. I mean, as I say, anybody just Google about the qualities of money, the fundamentals of what makes money money. And Bitcoin is actually a better form of money than cash. It really is. And again, because of that, limited supply, effectively, that's one thing that makes real money not money. And so why are they afraid of it? Well, the other thing about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in particular, well, not in particular, but cryptocurrency, is that there's a blockchain. So there's this fake news put out about how it's always used by criminals. Well, if it is, they're pretty dumb criminals, because you can track everything on the blockchain. So, and it's getting better and better and better. The law people, they're getting better and better and better at tracking any transaction. So if Bruce sends me $100,000 in Bitcoin, please, then everybody in the world can see what happened. They can see that wallet to wallet transaction. So when I come to spend it or transfer it or do whatever, they can see, and you can track it. You can track all these transactions, and that's becoming better and better understood. So criminals can't just get away with transferring massive amounts of money without any consequences, but you can with cash. The criminal world is run by cash.
The criminal world is run by cash, and let me be clear as well. There are ways to do Bitcoin and blockchain anonymously, okay, but you have to be smart about it, and you have to be careful about it, but there are ways to do it. But cash is used for the most illegal activities of the world. It's cash. It's cash.
Yeah, I mean, we're not saying regulations altogether a bad thing, but regulators have a very bad track record, don't they? They always come in after the event, closing the stable door after the horse has bolted. That's what regulators tend to do. And, they've done it within the fiat world over all the years of fiat corruption that there's been. They're always coming in too late. So regulators are just, they're very poor. So, got a very poor track record. Not to say that crypto shouldn't be regulated in some ways, but we've got to be careful about regulation. It's got to be for the protection of everybody, not just to make, to make money and to justify. Yeah, it didn't work in 2008. It's supposed to be regulators. What happened? Collateralized mortgage securities, ninja mortgages, no income, no job. And they were just bunched together and rated by the rating agencies as AAA. And that was basically, that was all okay. That was under regulation. And that's what happened. So it just proves regulation didn't work. It almost caused the total collapse of the financial system. And it started the massive, almost infinite money printing that we started. And once they learned how to do it, once COVID came along, it was on steroids. So the traditional financial fiat money system has got big holes in it. And we need to move on to a system which is actually fit for purpose. And that is the blockchain.
It is. It's the blockchain. Like you said, it's something new, guys. It's something new. Well, Matt, it is always a pleasure, my friend. And, we have so much more to talk about. But, of course, we'll do it again in the morning tomorrow. So we can talk more there. We're helping a lot of people, and that's, I think, what's important, guys. Largest transfer of wealth. I know we've heard this our whole life. I don't know if it's the largest transfer of wealth in our lifetime or not, but it's a big transfer of wealth, and you want to be able to take advantage of it, have some exposure to it.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you, guys, and thanks for all those follows on X. Thank you very much.
You're the man. MD Trade. Follow Matt Dixon.
And just as a matter of interest, I don't monetize that at all. I generally do this because I like to, I've been so many years in finance, so many years, I don't like to say how many years, but so many years in finance, and I actually love to share the knowledge. I've got a master's degree in finance and investment. I learned a lot there. And these are things I love to pass on the experience because I'm actually fascinated and excited about finance. It provides opportunity for everybody if you understand it. So that's why I like to spread that understanding on X and any other platforms that I can.
Amazing. Well, we really appreciate it. And as I mentioned, guys, we're in our 13th show, so there's a lot of opportunities that are coming knocking, and we will continue. Thank you so much, Matt.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. All the best. Catch you tomorrow.
Cheers. So speaking of real money, okay, and real stuff that you can use and real things of value, I ran across one of my old interviews that I did with Sir. He's not really Sir, but I'm going to call him Sir John McAfee, the late great John McAfee. John and I, of course, were kindred. I used to call it kindred spirits. We liked each other. This interview was done on the Blockchain Cruise Mediterranean. It's about 8 minutes long. I'm going to play it. I was working at the time loosely with a group called the Wild West Crypto Show, and so it's got old logos on it and stuff like that. I have the original somewhere, but this is the one that I found. And it's John McAfee was a real he was a national treasure, if you want to call him that. I mean, the guy was really something else. But what he talked about was really important. He talked about a number of things, and of course, we're on a cruise. Okay, so this is like we're probably drinking and stuff like this. I don't think I was, but I think he was maybe. And I think he had just gotten off stage, or someone had just gotten off stage. I was lucky enough to host the first day of this. I hosted the stage, so I was the MC, which was pretty fun. I told them I would MC, and I got there, and they said I didn't have that much correspondence with them, or maybe I didn't read my email, which that is, I am known for that. And I get there, and they go, okay, you're off in the morning. I said, oh, I'm giving my speech in the morning. They said, no, you're running the stage. I said, oh, I'm running the stage. I said, okay. And so I had to introduce all the big guys, including John McAfee, Charlie Lee, Roger Ver, and on and on. I could go through the names. But anyway, years ago, a lot of fun, really, really a lot of fun. They did an amazing job. But this interview is from there. It's with John McAfee. What he talks about is permissionless. Permissionless. And you see us talk about it, guys. And if we don't free ourselves with the permissionless, decentralized blockchain, we will be imprisoned by the centralized permission one. And that's like when we talk about, the real blockchains, we talk about Global Boost, we talk about Litecoin, we talk about Bitcoin, we talk about some of the really these ones that have been around for so long, and they can't stop them. The governments of the world can't stop them. They can't stop them, they can't seize them, they can't freeze them, and they can't counterfeit them. So they can't inflate you. They're impossible to counterfeit. They are currently impossible to counterfeit. But anyway, without further ado, this is my main man here. We were good friends, and may he rest in peace. John McAfee. We got a lot of history with this guy too. We'll continue to do some things here, but this was Blockchain Cruise Mediterranean 2018.
And we are live with the Wild West Crypto Show, broadcasting on location at the Coins Bank Blockchain Cruise. We have some huge names in the space here. I was able to pull over John McAfee, the legend himself. He's here John, just tell me a little bit about why you're here, what brought you here. I listened to your speech earlier.
Why am I here? Well, I'm here because it's a cruise. I came here to relax. Unfortunately, I was deceived. I have not been relaxed whatsoever. There's people like this wonderful gentleman here have been sucking up my time. But anyway, I enjoy it. Why am I here? I have an opportunity to talk, and I have an opportunity to talk not just to 1,000 people here on this cruise, but to you, the audience, about what we're doing, why I'm involved, and what you might or might not be missing about the blockchain and cryptocurrency.
Well, that is really, and it's one of the things I talked about, and that is the platform that we have and that Coinsbank and these other conferences provide for us to talk about the freedom that the internet or that the blockchain provides. And, I actually retweeted one of your videos, and you were saying how we're all slaves and people are slaves to their jobs. And it's so true. I looked at my friends and they're making, whatever, $150,000, $200,000 a year. And they can't say what they believe in because they're scared of losing a job.
Absolutely. And we are all slaves, but in more ways than one. We're not just slaves to our job. We're not just slaves to the government. We're slaves to the entire system. We live in a system of permission. What does that mean? Every legislation, every law, every regulatory agency, every regulatory body is designed to control our thoughts, our actions, and our movements. If you think about it, it is absolutely true. And so here on this cruise ship, I'm allowed to drink alcohol. I'm more than likely not allowed to smoke weed or shoot up heroin. These are permissions denied to me. What are we doing with the blockchain and with cryptocurrency? We are creating a permissionless society. If I send money, if I want to do a financial transaction today, and I'm in America, I want to wire money to a friend in London or something. I've got to go to my bank, I've got to fill out forms. If I don't do this, I'm not allowed to do anything. Even if I fill out the forms and I want to send money to someone in Lebanon, the government says, no, you don't have permission to do that. If I want to send Bitcoin or Ethereum or Monero to anyone on this planet, who do I have to ask permission of? Only the peer to whom I am asking money from or sending money to. I need no one's permission. And understand that the financial transactions are the foundations of every society. The blockchain does one thing, which is profound. It gives us an absolute record of truth. What is truth? Truth is the actuality of what happened or is happening. We haven't had that before. Because without truth, we can do nothing. Without truth, we don't know what's happening. CNN tells us one thing. Fox News tells us something else. The man on the street makes up his own story. How do we know? With the blockchain, we don't have that problem. If someone says, hit BTC, which is the most corrupt of all exchanges, hit BTC stole my money, we go, how do you verify that? They send me an Etherscan. The money came from here, went to hit BTC wallet, was never returned. It's all there. So we can go, okay, they did steal your money. With that, we can make a choice. We don't need the police. We don't need any enforcement agency. We need no regulatory body. We just need to make people aware, hey, look at this. You give your money to hit BTC, they're going to steal it. What happens? We stop doing it. We don't give our money to hit BTC. We don't use the exchange. We don't give them the opportunity to steal from us. They disappear. The people are still there. The company is gone. That process, that illegal criminal organization simply ceases to exist. Do you understand the power that this gives us? This is no longer something where I need to wait for a regulatory body to take action. I take action. I stop using it. End of story.
I was taking off in China or Asia or something, and I just remember looking out the window and thinking to myself, like, these guys have been mining Bitcoin and sending Bitcoin across borders for nearly 10 years.
Yes.
And without any government regulation or anything like that. And then you look at the censorship we have going on right now. Alex Jones completely deplatformed.
Yes.
And it could be you
Yes.
next.
Well,
it
will be me next. because the first thing I did was stand up and say, Alex Jones is a friend of mine, and he is. Why? Not because I believe his philosophy. I like Alex because he's a funny man, he's brilliant, and he knows how to party, and he has great weapons. And so when I go to Texas, we have fun together. We go out and we shoot, we laugh, we drink some beers. That's why. And so yeah, when Facebook and YouTube and Apple simultaneously within hours of each other, please God, tell me that's not a conspiracy. Within hours of each other, deplatform him. I'm sorry, there's some collusion going on here. In America, this is called conspiracy. It is illegal, and yet it's done. So I stand up. I stand up so high and I'm so loud that pretty soon they'll be delisting me, which is fine. Whatever happens.
Listen, without guys like you standing up and saying something, it was like I said earlier, then it's just all over. So, so tell me, how long have you been in blockchain? Like, when did you start getting into it?
2013.
Okay.
In 2013, because a friend of mine who used to work for me, a programmer, his name was James Zaromsky, one of the greatest programmers on the planet, came to Belize when I was living in Belize and said, I said, what are you doing these days, James? We went sailing together and had a lot of fun, partied. And he said, I'm mining. Mining? Okay. You've given up technology? What sort of equipment are you using? What are you mining for? He goes, Bitcoin. What the is Bitcoin? So he explained it to me. I read the white paper, Satoshi's white paper. I go, oh, now this is world changing.
Yeah.
This is a concept that never before existed. And I instantly saw, what if the blockchain had been applied to history since the beginning of time? We would understand life, history, and human nature and governance far more than we do now. Because what do we understand now? We understand what's written. What's written? The conqueror defines reality.
That's right.
At the end of every conquest, the conqueror writes down. The most egregious example of this was the Spanish when they invaded the eastern shores of Mexico and destroyed the Mayan civilization. There were hundreds of thousands of books. What did they do with them? They burned all but 4. And so the Spanish defined what history was. Now, there are a few gems here and there. There is in central Mexico, the diary of Bernal Diaz de Castillo, which was written allegedly at the time by one of Cortez's lieutenants. An astonishing piece of work.
So now, where do you go from here? What's your next stop?
I have no clue. You need to talk to my people. Listen, I live moment by moment.
After I finish this interview, I love it.
After I finish this interview, I will talk to my wife, who is my scheduler, and say,
Who is
what
an
next?
absolute
What
dog.
next? And she'll say, okay, at 4:25, you've got so and so. That's how I live. I have no clue.
That's fun. So where
Listen,
are
listen, I'm merely a face. I'm a puppet on the string. James Watson, Jimmy Watson, who is the CEO, the most brilliant man I've known for years, runs this thing. I work for him. I get out on stage and do my song and dance. I'm 72 years old. I am completely out of touch with reality. I'm just sitting here as the face of Team McAfee, doing what I do best.
Killing it. You're killing it. Listen, I have a conference, the Washington Elite AI and Blockchain Summit. It's in Washington, D.C., November 30, December 1. You got to come. It's going to be awesome. I'll have 2,000 plus people there. Tons of
I'd love to. You will have to talk to my wife.
I will.
Listen, I am scheduled. I am conference back to back for the rest of this year.
Sure
The one this is spectacular, by the way. This conference you're on this screen, Coins Bank Conference, is a killer conference. In 2 weeks, I'll be going to the Maltese Conference in Malta, the world's largest so far. The reason I'm going is because the Maltese Falcon is one of my favorite movies. I've never been to Malta. Ever since I saw that movie, I go, Maltese people, Maltese country, I want to go to Malta. Never had the opportunity before. In 2 weeks, I'll be there. Come there too.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, John, for
You're
coming
very welcome.
on. I really
All right.
appreciate it.
You're very welcome, sir.
We'll see you guys soon.
All right.
Nice.
We need to get some intro music, David. Wild,
Yep,
Wild
for
Brothers.
sure.
The Wild, Wild Brothers. Nah, just kidding. Porter
We can come up
Brothers.
with something.
Yeah, let's get some music. Mom said we need music too.
Oh, well,
She said you
better
need some
get
intro
on.
music. Is that what you don't like? We are live. We're live. John McAfee,
Uh-huh.
he is an American legend. He's a worldwide legend. The guy is he's unbelievable. Of course, he was one of the most interesting guys that I ever saw. There we go, James Porter, our other brother. We've mentioned him a few times, Mr. McAfee. We even got a comment from James on that. Good morning. How are you? Well, he's one of those guys that he really made a big difference. We of course, saw him in the Bahamas when he was running for president, I think again, but he was kind of on the run at that point. You can't say much in this country anymore. In any of our countries, you can't really buck the system too bad without them coming after you. And he did. That's how he rolled. But he talked about a few things that they're very important, and we'll wrap up here in the next few minutes. But I wanted to cover some of the things he talked about. He talked about a lot, and keep in mind too that he was a few drinks even in at this point. I think you saw him. He reached down there and he was drinking his cocktail. The guy was an amazing mind. And I actually, as we move forward, we have more footage of the years with him, and we'll play some of that as we go. But he talked about permissionless, right?
Yes.
Talked about being operating in a permissionless society.
I mean, it seems extremely important.
It's extremely important. We talked about Alex Jones. I shamelessly invited him to our conference on camera, where I knew he had to say yes. What was he going to say? No?
Yeah.
We also invited Alex Jones, and still have our connections there with Mr. Alex Jones's team. Maybe we can get him on here. Alex, if you see this, we want you to come on. But it was amazing because even talking about being deplatformed or whatnot back then, this was 2018. It's different than now. It's different now. Now everybody gets it. Everybody understands.
Yeah. It's expected.
It's expected. And like things are out of control, guys. We got to get things into control, or it's not going to go very well. Part of getting it into control is having control of your finances, having control of your money.
Yeah.
And working with a few people as well on some precious metal deals, because you need metals too. But as we talked about earlier, it's hard to fly with $100,000 of gold. It's hard to fly with $100,000 of silver.
Not only that, people are gonna want to ask questions, and
people are going to want to ask questions.
Take your time.
David and I have run into those questions multiple places around the world. Wait, we're doing a cavity search. What? Where am I? I'm kidding. Kind of. Well, we're going to do it again. We're going to do the show again, too. We're having a great time, guys. I would really appreciate everybody tuning in. I know in Texas and Louisiana, you guys are there, and you're tuning in early. You're either still up or you're up early like us. Seems this interview was only a few years ago. It was. That interview was from 2018. We were somewhere in the Mediterranean having a great time. Coinsbank threw an amazing event. I'm not even sure if they're around anymore. We went on a helicopter ride in Monaco. I ended up on a helicopter ride with the CEO of Coinsbank. It was really funny because they had overbooked the helicopter rides, right? But I was like VIP. I was the MC. I was all this stuff. So I saw everybody kind of getting in line and everything to get on there. And I saw that there was not enough space for everybody. And so I went past everybody like I was important. And I hopped on the helicopter, and they looked at me and they said, "Oh, no." And I go, "Hey, look, I saw you guys get on here. Okay, I know the deal. Let's go." And the president of the Coinsbank looked at me, the CEO, and And it wasn't until we're up in the air and everything I realized that I'm there with the executives of the Coins Bank, and of course that they knew who I was, and we were friends, and I think we had dinner together as well after that. Anyway, guys,
Awesome.
it has been an absolute pleasure. Again, thanks for spending your hour with us. We're gonna do it again tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat station, live in Texas and Louisiana, live on X Networks Manager, on Crypto Cake on YouTube, also LinkedIn. I'm signing off.
Cheers. See you tomorrow.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.